Hunter and Darren, Perfect Game College Baseball. Happy holidays, one and all. Hunter, have you made out your wish list for the holidays? What's on that wish list? If so, what are you asking your lovely wife for, or those that you care about the most? What's on Hunter Pence's wish list for the holidays?
Happy, healthy family, good waves. Maybe a nice Giants edition, some good college baseball on the forecast. Looking forward to that. So good weather would be great for me, Darren. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Yeah, same thing. Health. A father of four with a great wife. Health. I'll take health on my holiday wishes. Some smiles along the way, some good memories, and maybe recharge for 5 minutes the batteries. That's what I'm looking forward to. I love this show. Two great junior college coaches. One's brand new, right? He's a veteran of coaching, but he's been an assistant in Aaron Biddle, who's at Wabash Valley in Illinois, and they go to the JUCO World Series pretty frequently. They're a great program. And then Rick Hitt, who's a full generation older and has been coaching for a full generation. He's at South Florida State College. He's president of the ABCA. He's a JUCO Hall of Famer. Two different times in their careers, but both two great JUCO coaches. This is a fun one.
Darren, this is an exciting show. Two extraordinary coaches for different reasons. Rick, one of the most exceptional leaders of our time. He's a part of every single organization. Just great servant leadership. Excited to kind of pick his brain about his journey, and he's played for two Hall of Fame coaches in his college career as well. And then, Aaron. Absolutely insane what he's been able to accomplish. He's led the nation in ERA as a pitching coach. He's led the nation in batting average twice as a hitting coach. What kind of – I have to get to the bottom of that. It's one of the most exceptional things I've ever heard of in all of sports. So obviously a master coach and now getting the head coaching job at the Bash. Excited to check in with him as well.
We'll start this show, Avon Park, Florida. When we come back, Hunter and Darren, thank you for spending time with us on Perfect Game College Baseball. Here we go. Hunter and I excited to have this conversation with Rick Hitt. What a great baseball name, certainly, but his career in baseball and giving back to young athletes is so incredible to document. He's at South Florida State College, the president of the ABCA, as we get excited to attend in early January, the upcoming convention. Rick, thanks for spending time with us. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thanks for having me on.
I think for you, it's fun to go back to the beginnings because you played within the world that you're still in, and you've done so many great things at Santa Fe Community College. And for Harry Tholen, who's an ABCA Hall of Famer, had a similar journey of success. When he laid the foundation with you, I'm sure he hoped it would go as well as it's gone. But my gosh, your foundation, from the early stages as a player have been really strong. It's got to be fun, as you go through these leadership positions and still coach on a daily basis, to think of a guy like Harry and his impact.
It's really difficult to put into words there, and to be quite honest with you, he's just one of the salt of the earth people in the game or outside of it. Just first class individual. Impacted my life very early on in my junior college career. First of all, by giving me a chance to be a college player in recruiting, and then playing for him for 2 years, getting a chance to play in the World Series, and then just all the things after completion of my degree and playing career at Santa Fe that. The times that he would just call and ask if I was interested in getting involved, and the different opportunities within the NJCAA that he mentioned. And that's kind of where it started for me, was just kind of his motivating me to give back. And, my father told me a long, long time ago that he said, if you feel like you have something to offer people, don't be selfish with it, share it. And with Coach Tholen's advice and his input and the things that he's impacted my life with, it just kind of started there, and it's gotten to this point, and I've enjoyed every minute of it, man. This is a great game, and these are great student athletes, and the great relationships that have been built over the years for me with coaches and players, and coaches I played for, coaches I play against, coaches I sit on boards with. It's just really been incredible, and I thoroughly enjoy it, and I look forward to continuing it for years to come.
Wow, Rick. And it truly is an amazing story that, what your father told you and how you've been able to, take that and live it for a long period of time. And you've impacted so many players and also just baseball as a whole. But since Darren started here, I had one question, because it is pretty unique. You got to play for two Hall of Fame coaches in your college career. And, you told us a little bit about Harry Tholen, and I hope I don't mispronounce this name. It's not my strength. But also you played for Paul Manieri. who also coached, Manet, the coach at LSU. Yep. I love story time, and you obviously got a couple. So can you give us a couple, like one big story play for each of them that was pretty interesting that impacted you and maybe even your season?
Well, I think that there's a lot of them, but the story to start with, Coach Solon was playing in the World Series, obviously in Grand Junction. Back in '85, what a tremendous honor, what an opportunity! I'd actually come off an arm injury in the middle of the year, and came to me late in the year and said, "Hey, we're going to give you another shot here if you feel good." And got to pitch in the state tournament in Lakeland, and then or Winter Haven. And then we went to the World Series. Came out of the bullpen, was no longer a starter. Came out of the bullpen and had a chance to come in with the bases loaded, nobody out, in front of about 8,000 people one night, and struck out the side. And I remember his reaction when I came off the field. It was just this genuine excitement, enthusiasm. He was as excited for me individually, just knowing that I'd come back from some arm issues, as he was for our team getting out of that jam. And, there's a lot of special moments with Coach Stolen like that. And there are two, and there are really, really too many to list, but just from a player's on-field perspective. And then, of course, the days we roomed together as members of the NJCA committee for years, taking national teams on trips to out of state or going to Millington, Tennessee, and hosting teams from another country. And, being able to room with my mentor. I mean, come on. You know what? That's kind of the coolest thing when you think about it. So just those are some great ones. And then Coach Maneri, I mean, the stories go on and on. I mean, his family, number one, one of the great families in baseball, with his father, Demi, and for years at Miami-Dade, actually played. We would play them every fall when I played for Coach Maneri. And one of the things I used to get a kick out of was he would just go over and sit in the dugout with his dad, and we'd go stretch on the line, and the conversations would go well into the start of a scrimmage game before he ever got back to coaching third or being in the dugout. And you just knew what a special relationship that was with them. And he relayed that to his players. He was all about family. He was a huge family man, still is. And the enjoyment of being around him. I actually ran into him this past year at the College World Series. We were walking through the atrium there where all the concessions are, and walked into each other, and you said hi and we said hi, and he obviously was excited to be there. He was there actually because formerly obviously was the head coach at Notre Dame. So was there in a fan effort as well, and we got to catch up for 5 minutes and had some of his family with him. So just always great times. And to nail one story down for him, I don't know. I think that I would have to think on that a little bit more to really come up with one of the best ones for you.
All right. I mean, that's pretty good. You mentioned relationships, and I think in a long baseball career, at the end of the day, when you look back at championships and big moments, those are all special. But at the end of the day, it's the relationships that carry it, and the fact that, y'all have that relationship this many years later. And it leads me to year-long baseball career, obviously 24 years at South Florida College, but also you coached before that. How has baseball changed in that time span? And looking back, what do you think was great from back then that we should bring back to now? And what do you think is great that we have changed from then to now?
Well, I would say when you ask me how baseball has changed, sometimes when you get asked that question, I myself don't know that the game itself has ever changed. I just think the people that play it have, and how it's coached in different ways. When physicality was not as great a part of the game as it was years and years ago, now all of a sudden physicality is massive in our game. And that's one thing I would think that is a huge change. And then I think that, secondly, we have such amazing – I think baseball at the higher levels now is getting more and more recognition, say at the Division I levels and so on and so forth, with the great coaches who have done an outstanding job for years playing with modest means and scholarships and different things like that. And now all of a sudden you're starting to see these College World Series events be these massive NCAA events. And I think that kind of shows you where it was years and years ago to where it is now in terms of on-site. But I think the game itself, I mean, I'm a proponent of still bunting. I mean, I know there are guys out there that never do, but it's funny to me, Hunter, when one of my best friends, Marty Smith's the head coach of the College of Central Florida, and they can hit it as far as anybody every day. it's funny, in the state tournament last year when they needed a run in the ninth, the first thing he did was go to the bunt. And I just think that sometimes we don't talk about the traditions in baseball as much as we should, and how coaches kind of come back to their roots a little bit when they feel the need to in that moment. But I think for me that, I think that the versatility that the game presents now with so many different players who are tremendous athletes who have maybe played multiple sports when they were younger, now they specialize a little bit more. And I think the younger, the younger they start, all of a sudden this game blossoms for them. And then, of course, all the organizations that promote youth baseball now that weren't there all of these years ago, from every aspect of the age groups. I mean, you got T-ball all-stars, for crying out loud, nowadays in baseball. I mean, those, it's just, you're talking about guys that are trying to figure out where to throw the baseball, and we're all-stars now at that age. So I think that over time, the socialization of the game, the expansion of the game in terms of everybody seeing it more often, hearing it more often, being around it more often, it has always been, in my opinion, America's greatest game. And it's actually something that we talk about with our recruits all the time, is the opportunity to play the greatest game in the world as hard as you get to do it and enjoy it every day. And I think that there are a lot of things that have changed, but if you ask me, I think the game's the same. It's about the same concepts, the same things happen. And in order to be able to play it, you got to be somebody that really enjoys doing it. You got to have enthusiasm for it. You got to be athletic. You got to have some skills, of course, because it's a hard game, especially to hit. But I think that the game itself hasn't changed as much. I think the people that play it and how it's presented in our society has changed it.
Rick, what's the most rewarding part about serving as the president of the ABCA? I was an ABCA rookie last year. My life around baseball, but had never been to that event. I was blown away, just blown away with the passion, the teaching, the level of coach where you could be, a Hall of Fame coach dealing with, a middle school travel coach or a small, tiny high school coach, and they could have coffee together. They could break bread together. So I was blown away. What's the most rewarding part of as serving as the president as you have?
That's a great question. And I think that one of the ways I tried to answer that when I was asked in First Pitch Digest there with Keith Madison's book is that I was so grateful for the opportunity, because the ABCA, this sport, the ABCA, is actually the one place where every level matters, as you mentioned, from T-ball to minor league baseball. I mean, every level matters. And there's something for every coach at every convention every single year. And you can go as deep as you want as a coach, or you can just walk around the edges of it and still grasp everything you want. So I think that every level matters in the ABC. I think that for me is the most important thing. And then I hate to keep coming back to this, but it's just a fact, the relationships of the people year in and year out, the folks you've known forever and the people that you learn to know and get to know for the first time. There are people coming to their first ever convention this year in Nashville, and we hope those people come back for 20 more years. And there have been people coming to conventions for 50 years that are still coming. So it just tells you a little bit about the every level concept and how important it is.
On this show, we have two very strong proponents of junior college baseball, and then me. I mean, obviously, Hunter's journey went through that ranks. You've touched lives. I mean, hundreds of players you've sent to four-year schools, like Hunter did. Extol the virtues of junior college baseball from your chair, from your office, what you've seen for a full generation, and why it is the perfect fit for some athletes.
Well, I think that number one, it is the foundation. It is it's the piece that starts the foundation. Okay, so we talk to our players about it's a 5-year journey. When you take your first step into college, no matter where it is, in 5 years, it's likely, percentages tell us it's likely that the game will be not in your corner anymore. You will have played your time. You'll be out in the workforce, and it's time to begin that process of being a husband and a father and being someone who's committed in your church and your community. So I think that the 2-year system starts that foundation, begins that foundation for guys in who are they going to be off the field as much as who they're going to be on the field. I think it's a very important quality. I think a lot of coaches talk about it. I coach at a place that's small enough to actually still believe in it 24/7. We don't have a lot of distractions. We don't have a Chick-fil-A and Chipotle here. Don't pass that around, but that's just a fact. We're still growing in our small community here. So the embodiment of the chemistry of that journey and how important it is for guys to understand the concept of teamwork when they walk into the business world and they're the leader of 6 people in an office that has to come up with solutions to problems and things of that nature. These are all aspects that this team sport teaches and helps to coach through. I think you could go on, but the foundation for me is the beginning, the process of getting from point A to point B from the beginning of the semester to Christmas time to the end of May or whenever the journey ends for that group, and then continuing that process in the summer. And I think the best guys finding the best fit for them in their coaching career. I see it every time we have a recruit. I'll say the same thing. And sometimes you get those funny looks from parents like, is he actually encouraging us to go somewhere else? But that's not the fact. It's finding the best fit in this life when you're a student athlete. If you're coming to junior college and the best fit is here or the best fit is a major Division I university, just have something that checks all your boxes so you walk in giving 100% every day. And if you do that, then I think you got a chance to get into that journey 5 years from now, because we care about who you are 10 and 20 years down the road. We want to know that you've become a success and that you can give back and all the things that we expect from our guys. So I think the 2-year system provides that foundation, and then it prepares guys to understand what's going to happen next. In 2 short years, the opportunity to be in a major 4-year institution somewhere across the country and walking in game ready. I think that's one of the things that I think has been very impactful over the course of my career, is watching our guys get to the end of year 2 and knowing that every coach that I've talked to in terms of the recruitment process, I feel 100% committed to how they're going to be and what they're going to bring to the next table. So I think that the foundation for me is the biggest thing.
Wow, Rick, it's definitely amazing stuff. And you're right. I think me and you can both attest. I'm sure even Darren, those 2 years at JUCO are very instrumental into who you're going to become. And it's great that it's in hands, your hands. And I know that I was lucky to have Matt Deggs, and what he taught me stuck with me my whole major league career. And, it's just it was more core principles than any necessary baseball technique. Because in my opinion, baseball techniques come and go, and there's all sorts of different things. But those core principles of like, what are the values and the principles to success? How do you become a good person off the field? Because good people make good players. So I love hearing that, and I'm glad that you highlight that a lot. But I do want to jump into your squad this year and how the fall went. Rick, how's the fall looking? What are you excited for most going into this next 2023 season?
Well, we had a very solid fall in a lot of ways. We lost 17 days on the field, obviously, because Mother Nature. That was the nature of coaching in Florida this year. Again, it happens from time to time. And, sometimes you wonder about that, but we got plenty of reps in. We returned a modest group of 9 guys from last year. We had a pretty good club last year. We missed the playoffs by basically 2 games, and we feel really good about that group coming in. But our freshman class, one of the most important qualities for me is that we find a way that freshman and that sophomore class gel together and become chemically, bonding in terms of moving forward. And I think that I feel pretty good about that part of it. We also jumped to a new division and conference this year in the state for the first time ever. So we've gone to a track of 10 3-game weekends, a Friday, Saturday doubleheader for 30 games, 10 consecutive weekends. So it's, the battle of attrition, which is game 3, so to speak, on those weekends is going to be something that we hope we prepared for during the fall and helped our guys get to. But really excited about some of our players, our staff. We have 3 guys returning on our staff who were impactful players last year, and 4 returning offensive guys who had really good seasons for us. So a couple of those guys have already committed to 4-year school, and a few are still working to get there, which we feel very confident that's going to happen. But like our bunch, like the chemistry, enjoy being around them. And it's the same thing I tell us guys, guys, this journey's long to be traveling around doing it with guys you don't enjoy being around. That's players and coaches alike. So having an enjoyable bunch of guys who like to put in the time. Hunter, we're a blue collar bunch here, man. That's as easy as I can say it to you. And when you get a bunch of guys who kind of buy into that philosophy, it's actually really fun, win, lose, or draw. It's enjoyable to be around them because you think every day you're getting their best in terms of their effort and their attitude, and they're wanting their teammate to have success and helping the teammates enjoy the ride. So I like our bunch. I don't know how many will win or lose, but I think we'll have a shot every day. I can tell you that.
All right. Well, that's definitely exciting. Yeah, 30-24 last season. And I don't feel like it's hard to say like you're a junior college and you're not blue collar because you're riding. I'm sure you're traveling in vans and such. And this is one of my favorite questions because it's one of my favorite memories. I think I caught that clearly. You're now doing 3-game series instead of 2-game series, which is what I remember from JUCO, which means maybe a little less travel. You get the station down. But tell me give me one of your best all-time JUCO travel stories.
Oh, wow. JUCO travel stories.
Y'all are running around in the van,
okay.
right? Like it's vans.
Yeah, we do. But I'll tell you one that you really couldn't reach at every level. Here's how. So we went to Gainesville. We're sitting on a 3-game weekend. We play Central Florida on a Friday. It's raining like crazy the next morning at 9 o'clock in Gainesville, and Johnny Wiggs, head coach, calls me and says, Rick, we can't get it in. We're scheduled for a doubleheader. So I'm sitting in a hotel room with my guys, and I just pick up the phone and I start calling around thinking, could I find somewhere else? Can I get in the vans or get on the bus and jump somewhere? Sometimes we take vans, sometimes we take a bus, depending. And lo and behold, I get a hold of Kyle Forbes, who's the coach at Palm Beach. He's sitting in Tampa in a doubleheader rain out at the same time I am. And we pick up the phone, we call each other, and he calls me back and he goes, how about, can we play tomorrow? I said, how about we meet at my place at 4 o'clock this afternoon and start a day-night doubleheader? He goes, done. He drives from Tampa, I drive from Gainesville. We play a double dip. That's junior college baseball. You couldn't do that in NCAA Division I. Too many scheduling issues and too many promising money. We jumped into vans, came back, played a really good 5-3 kind of game. Everybody got their time in. And then the second game, we ended up saying it, used all our pitching in game 1. Both guys said, hey, let's get them home. It's late. And we've been on the road all day. So that's kind of one of my most enjoyable stories to tell because it kind of gives you that everybody wants to play and there's ways to accomplish things if you really get after them. So.
Such a good question. It always elicits a great answer. Rick, thank you very much. Look forward to spending time with you at ABCA. Happy holidays, Happy New Year, and have an amazing 2023 season.
Guys, thank you very much. Thank you for everything you do to promote this great game and for all of your efforts, and I appreciate you having me on. Thank you very much.
That's our pleasure. Are you kidding me? We're going to go from Avon Park, Florida, all the way up to just outside of Chicago, Illinois. We're going to go see the folks at the Bash, Wabash, when we come back. Talking junior college baseball in this show. Hunter and I, glad you're with us on Perfect Game College Baseball. You're watching Perfect Game TV. Mount Carmel, Illinois. The junior college journey continues. I'm very excited to talk with Aaron Biddle. He's with us right now. Aaron, thanks for hanging out with Hunter and I. We really appreciate it. Congratulations on the opportunity to take over, Wabash and all they have accomplished. You guys are fresh off of a strong run to the World Series. Rob goes on to Western Kentucky, Rob Fournier, and for you, this has to be a thrilling summer, fall, transition, change, but you really have to be embracing this opportunity that you've earned.
Absolutely. I've got to spend so much time with Rob the last 7 years, and we've had so much fun together, but it's a great opportunity, and I'm having an absolute blast.
Yeah, Aaron, congratulations, on making it to Grand Junction last year. But one of the most fascinating, stories I've ever witnessed. You were a pitching coach and a hitting coach. As a pitching coach in 2019, you led the nation in ERA. As a hitting coach for 2 years, you led the nation in batting average. That's quite that's actually insane if you ask me. Mastery of both pitching and hitting. Can you talk a little bit about just from your perspective, what it's like to coach pitching and to coach hitting and the differences?
It's been really cool to be able to do both. My background was as a PO in college. I got my start as a pitching coach. Pitching is so close to my heart. It's what I've really loved through this coaching journey. And, about 10 years ago, I got the chance to start working with hitters, and I embraced that and, taught myself a lot, learned a lot from my guys, and, it's become something that I love just as much as I love the pitching side. But for us, a lot of it is just trying to teach the mental game to these guys, whether we're pitching, whether we're hitting, teaching guys how to be mentally tough, teaching guys how to have an approach, whether you're, on the mound attacking hitters or you're in the box attacking pitchers. and just trying to relate, how a pitcher attacks the game to how a hitter attacks the game. That's kind of been the biggest thing for us.
Aaron, I love this answer, and like I said, like to me, it's fascinating to be able to master both, and to be able to just go to the other side and like look at it through a pitcher's lens. But everyone's looking for that like secret sauce. Like, what is the key to success? I just was at the Sports Illustrated event where Steph Curry was talking about this, where he got Sportsman of the Year. He's like, the secret recipe is just little actions and curiosity and enthusiasm and like the mental part of it. It doesn't surprise me because that is my jam. Can you dive in a little bit about how do you get to the core of like making your players more mentally tough? Are you passing them a book? Are you just hands-on human relationship? Talk a little bit about how you get into the mental side with your players.
There's a lot of different things that go into it. It's not just one simple thing or one book or, one lesson or one whatever. Like, we spend a lot of time in the classroom talking through the game, talking through situations, talking through approaches. One thing that is huge for us that we do usually at least once a week, if not 2 or 3 times, we do Brian Cade's number grids. It's 0 to 100. We talk about, at some point in the number grid, you're going to lose your way. And how are you going to recenter yourself? And then we relate that to the game. At some point you're going to get a bad call. You're not going to like something that happens. You're going to take a bad swing. How are you going to recenter yourself? And we talk about taking a good breath. And then when we get on the field, we try to put it to use. Like, we try to make things as tough on our guys as possible so that, when they're in the toughest situations possible in a game, they've been through that in practice and, they're not afraid of it. They're ready for that challenge. And I think that's the biggest thing for us is just trying to keep guys to challenge them as much as you can on a day-to-day basis in practice so that it's not as hard when you get in that situation in a game.
Aaron, it's interesting. When I look at your roster, I get excited because junior college baseball, it's not really national recruiting. It's just not. It's regional. And, we know how that goes. Yet I see New York. Right. I see Indiana, Panama, Canada, Puerto Rico, the Dominican Republic, and then all around your area as well. Right. In the Midwest. Speak to me about what you and Rob and now you are building with that diversity, diversity in culture, diversity in language, and also being on that national platform, how one at a local junior college is able to recruit nationally.
Rob, it starts with Rob. He was here for 26 years. He's got connections all over the place, all over the country. We've had guys from everywhere come in and play here, and then those guys go back out, and there's the word of mouth, and people just start reaching out, and that's how it's gotten to where it's at is, getting a few in here at a time. They have a great situation, a great experience. They love it. They go tell others about it, and that's what's allowed us to get all over the place is just the word of mouth and the network and the relationships that we've been able to build here.
Funny how that works. Zero, Coach Simmons at Seminole in Oklahoma, and I was a California boy, and that's a long time ago, right? But I knew about him. There was no internet. There were no cell phones, and you're right, how word travels, and there are certain coaches and programs that players want to play for. Introduce us to some of your players, and I'm going to do a deep dive. I know we weren't there with you in the fall, but I see Daniel Contreras, who came from Iowa Western, who's a catcher for you guys. He's committed to go to Illinois State. Introduce him as a player to us and his impact on the team you hope this upcoming year.
Daniel is such a wonderful kid. He has such a great background, obviously playing for a great program at Iowa Western, program that we got to compete against last year to go to the World Series. He played really well against us. He's a proven winner. He knows the game. He works his tail off. He has such a great rapport with our pitchers. One of the best blockers and receivers, that I've had at this level in a long, long time. Just a phenomenal player in person.
Wow, and it is great to have that. To me, the catcher is the foundation of the team, the quarterback of the team,
absolutely,
and being able to hold the running game, absolutely pivotal. So looking through, obviously, your great run last year, there's a lot of sophomores. There's a couple of freshmen that stood out: Brad Keylori, Jacob Frost. Are they still with you this year? And talk a little bit about how the coming together of this 2023 team, your first year as head coach. How was the fall looking, and how are those two guys looking?
Bradkey actually left. He went to the College of Central Florida, so he's gone. Jacob Frost is back. He's a guy who pitched a lot of big innings for us last year. Started some midweeks, pitched relief, had a couple of huge outings in the postseason, a big complete game in the district, pitched really well in the World Series out of the bullpen for us. He's a guy we're kind of expecting to be our number one. We've got a lot of sophomores back. The funny thing about them is most of those guys didn't play a whole lot last year. So we do have some experience, but at the same time, they're still young. So it's, I'd say it's a young team, incredibly talented. I think there's going to be a little bit of learning curve, but, all the talent, all the pieces are there. We just got to put it all together and play baseball.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the fact that it's good to know that a lot of people were a part of the success you had last year, carrying that story over. I find that always is very powerful. Looking at the team OPS, this is like unheard of. 1,091 team OPS, Aaron. Describe that offensive season, experiencing it, and then also like how do you catapult that into this year and carry that story over?
That offense, it was electric. We had some guys that could really mash the baseball. One thing I think we take a lot of pride in is being able to draw walks, have good at-bats, take a hit by pitch. And, when you do all those things and then you have a couple of guys that can really mash, it helps that OPS. For us to kind of roll things over to this year, the biggest thing is getting the guys to just buy into that same approach, being disciplined inside the strike zone, not swinging at bad pitchers' pitches, being mentally tough enough to stand in the box and take an HBP and take a base when you get it. And then, when guys are on base, having an aggressive approach and getting something you can move and being able to move the baseball.
Aaron, we'd love your description of what it's like to play in Grand Junction. You've been there a couple of times as a coach. You guys won 3 games there last year. I'm sure you were heartbroken when it ended, but then you step back and you enjoy that journey. So whether it be the city, whether it be the joy you see in your athletes, the hosting that goes on, the quality of baseball, please explain the Grand Junction experience being a JUCO World Series participant.
It's funny. After I got out there the first time and got back, everybody's like, what was it like? Was it everything you thought it would be? And, never being there, you kind of play in your mind what you think it's going to be like. And then when you actually get there, the way I described it is you multiply what you feel like it's going to be like by 100. And that's what it's really like. It is an incredible experience. They do a phenomenal job hosting the tournament. Our boys are treated like big leaguers out there, from the people running the thing to the little kids running up and asking for autographs. Will you sign my baseball? Can I have your batting gloves? All these things that allow these kids to feel like they're there, like they've arrived and done something. That's the coolest experience, is just getting the kids there and letting them be a part of that.
How much does it help, Aaron, your time as a scout? How much does that help to communicate with your players that, look, there are a lot of great coaches out there that they do know that lane, right? Especially the great JUCO coaches. They know that lane, even if they haven't been a scout per se. They're scouting for their own programs. But you're communicating with the Guardians, and there's a way that they play and scout the game. How much has that benefited your players that you've had that role with the Guardians?
I think it helps a lot. Like I tell guys every day, like you play hard and you practice hard every day because you don't ever know who's watching. And Coach Fournier used to do this when I first got the scouting job. A lot of the guys didn't know, and he'd be like, there's a scout here today, and you guys don't even know it. And you're having a lazy practice. You're not running hard down the first base line, and all those things. So, I'm able to do the same thing. You got somebody watching you every day. What do you want me to send back to the report as? Is you don't play hard, you don't work hard, or do you want me to, when my guy calls and says, hey, how is so and so? Do you want me to say, kid gets after it day in and day out? He's a competitor. So just being able to say little things like that to fire guys up and make them want to work hard every single day, I think is the biggest part that helps us.
We're excited to see you at the Panama City College Baseball Classic. We'll be there. We're going to stream some of it as well. Talk to me a little bit about your prep once you get the athletes back. I'm guessing you let them catch their breath for a minute. I'm sure you've given them pretty good marching orders on how you want them to take care of themselves. But when they show up, describe how you guys hit the ground running. What goes on first when you see them after the break?
As soon as we get back, hopefully we get a decent day and we can get outside. If not, we're going to do everything we can to get them ready inside. We've already told the pitchers they need to be ready to throw live. As soon as we get back, we're going to start throwing live. We've got about 3 weeks that we get to see at bats. Our hitters will stand in when the pitchers are throwing bullpens just to track pitches. That weekend, we're going to hit live. Hopefully it's outside, probably won't be, but we'll make the most of it inside and just try to get guys as many at bats as possible. Of course, with pitchers, you're trying to build them up. So we'll start slow, probably 30 pitches, a couple weekends, 45 pitches. Hopefully they're at, 60 by the time we get to Panama. It's going to be a day in, day out process.
Aaron, thank you, my friend. We can't wait to see you at that event, February 3rd through the 5th in Panama City. And happy holidays to you.
Happy holidays to you guys.
And your wife, Brittany. You guys enjoy yourselves, okay?
We will. Thank you. Thank you guys so much for having me.
Aaron Biddle, the head coach, the Bash they call it, Wabash Valley, an incredible program, went to the JUCO World Series, won 3 games last year. We also want to thank Rick Hitt, who joined us, president of the ABCA and the head coach for a full generation at South Florida State College. He's Hunter. I'm Darren. You have some good times heading into the holiday season. We'll see you soon on Perfect Game College Baseball.